Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is bring the mind under control. Last Monday was the Memorial Day, and we had the opportunity of going to Colima, which is near Point Reyes in Marin County. And our Vedanta Society of Northern California arranged a retreat, day-long retreat, which we attend. And about 20 to 25 of us, that means ourselves, monks and devotees, went to attend that. And this is going on for a long time, maybe 30, 40 years. And I had the opportunity of attending most probably all the retreats since I came here. And I especially remember one retreat which was on 31st May 1993. You know, so many retreats are held, even it is difficult to remember what was the subject of the retreat, who had the speakers, what did they say. It is not possible to remember them. But I very distinctly remember this retreat and the gentleman who actually spoke on that retreat. The reason is this. Okay, let me tell you the name of that speaker. His name is Eugene Taylor, Dr. Eugene Taylor. And he was known for history and philosophy of psychology and religion. He actually taught these subjects in Harvard University and such other universities. And also he was head of one of the universities which is well known for psychological studies, postgraduate and doctoral psychological studies, which has been transferred now to Oakland. From Connecticut, it has been transferred to Oakland very recently. And his specialty was Professor William James. That means his studies encompassed his Professor James' writings, and he edited them, rewrote them, discovered new things, and in that way he was known to be an incarnation of Professor William James in his circle. In the Olima retreat, it is they give an opportunity, or you get an opportunity to talk the speakers to come there. That means one-to-one talk, you can do that. So I had an opportunity of talking to him. And I saw that this gentleman, he had a beard, he a bearded person, not too old, and he meditated there. That means he was meditating for a long time. I was surprised that such a person who is a professor in the university can meditate such a long time, or at least can meditate. That was a little bit surprise to me. Then I had an opportunity of talking to him, and he said during the conversation, which is the thing which I was saying that I remember. So his significant statement was that Swamiji, past 20 years were the years of psychotherapy, and before that 20 years were the years of psychoanalysis, and the future 20 years will be the years of meditation. So that struck me. That means how actually this gentleman who is a what is called in the subject of psychology, that means Western psychology, definitely can say that the future 20 years will be the years of what is called meditation. And he himself practiced meditation, that was evident. And unfortunately, he has passed away in 2013. When I wanted to refer to him what he is doing now, try to figure out. So this he said in 1993, as I told you, and he passed away in the year of 2013, just within 20 years. And what he has said, I believe that it has come true. That is my point. That means people have started giving attention to meditation. Varieties of meditation. That means it is not that the subject of meditation is just one, or the techniques of meditation is just one. It is not like that. But the people are drawn to meditation nowadays. There is no doubt about it, and it is becoming very popular day by day. Popular in a sense that some people do it just as a what is called, because it is a fad, as it is called. That means people are doing it to try in that way. Some people get benefit. That is why they do meditation. And in that way, meditation is very well-known subject nowadays, and to talk about meditation is really very interesting. Meditation, we see in ancient times in India, the subject of meditation was very important from the point of view that to discover your true self or to develop spirituality and all those things, meditation was the tool that we see in our scriptures. It has been said. Savan Manan Nididhasan. And Nididhasan is the meditation. First you hear what is true and what is the goal. Then you cogitate on that. That means in what way you actually can tackle that. Then actually when you are certain that it will be beneficial for you, do meditation. That means concentrate your mind on that subject. So that was the beginning, if you can say, most ancient type of meditation. Of course, in all religion and in all spiritual literature, you will find some sort of meditation. That means reflection on spiritual subject is always there. But I am saying from the point of view of what is called how old it is. Later on we see that Lord Krishna brought this subject systematically. And that subject has been taught in the Bhagavad Gita that we find. Bhagavad Gita, most of you know, that was a teaching of Lord Krishna when he was teaching his disciple Arjuna in the context of a war. And there he says, and though his teachings are enumerated in the book called Bhagavad Gita, and that's portion of the teaching, and there you will find that they are chapter-wise. Nowadays it is available chapter-wise. So in the 6th chapter, which is known as chapter of meditation, Dhyana Yoga, and he has said how to do meditation. So let us review a little bit. Because I am saying this, systematically we need to do meditation. We do meditation, and at the very beginning, that means in ancient times, Lord Krishna was before Lord Buddha. And what to say about Patanjali also. So systematic meditation, he taught, if you call it, we find in the Bhagavad Gita. So he says that, well, practice yoga, that means yoga of meditation. To practice yoga, that means meditation, one should make a asana, that means sit in a sanctified place, good place, clean place, by placing kusha grass, that means a type of grass which is probably sort of insulated or whatever it may be from the ground or whatever it may be. So it is considered to be very pure. Deer skin and a cloth, one over the other. And this asana, that means that sit should not be too high or too low. That is the first instruction that he had given. Then he said, seated firmly on it, the yogi, that means the practitioner of meditation, should strive to purify the mind by focusing it in meditation with one pointed concentration, controlling all thoughts and activities. That means this is the way one should do meditation. After sitting, concentrate the mind, and in that way you continue. Controlling the thoughts and activities, you continue the meditation. He must hold the body, neck and head firmly in a straight line and gaze at the tip of the nose without allowing the eyes to wander. So it is a sort of, that means fully focused on some subject with this posture, if you can say simply. Thus, with a serene, fearless, and unwavering mind, and staunch in the vow of celibacy, the vigilant yogi should meditate on me, having me alone as the supreme goal. Lord Krishna was very particular about his teaching to Arjuna, his disciple. So he said to me, that means to me does not mean that we should also think of Lord Krishna only. It is not like that. We can take any subject of meditation, and in that way we can do that. Then he is saying, what is the result? Thus constantly keeping the mind absorbed in me, the yogi of disciplined mind attains nirvana. It means he attains to the highest goal of spirituality, liberation, and abides in me in supreme peace. That is the samammunam of meditation. That means you have to do some practice, then control the mind, then reach the goal. So now the point is that Arjuna was a very intelligent person, and it is not that he did not know all those things. Then he says, after listening to these, of course a little bit more was there. Then he is saying that, well, chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavadridam tassaham nigraham manne vayoriva suduskaram. These are very famous two lines that we feel that we know, and it was as if on our behalf Arjuna said to his teacher, Lord Krishna. What is that? For the mind of Krishna is restless, turbulent, powerful, and obstinate. To control it is as hard, it seems to me, as to control the wind. Wind, as you know, that you do not know the direction and speed and all those things. It is going here and there in that way actually. It has got the liberty of moving anywhere. It doesn't have any control that we see. So he compares the mind when you do for meditation is like that. That means chanchalam. It is turbulent, and it is powerful, and also restless. And these are and also obstinate. That means if you feel that you will control, that means if you just try to subdue it, it is so obstinate that it is not subdued. That is quite a common experience. So as if on our behalf, those who do meditation, Arjuna pointed out, these are the trouble that we face when we try to control our mind. And Lord Krishna, as you know, was a great teacher, so he understood that. There are many examples. Lord Arjuna said only that wind, but there are other examples in other places also. It is just like a mad monkey, and not only mad monkey. It is like a what is called. It has given a drink of wine also. Then of course it is not the end of that. Probably a scorpion was put to his body, so it is biting. Then actually it is not that. That means it was a demon actually entered into it. So in that way, that is the condition of the monkey, and that is the similarity. Just like wind, it is an analogy is given to the mind, what happens to a person when he sits for meditation. Another example is that it is scattered like mustard. That means if you have a handful of mustard, if you just throw it on the floor, it will scatter in such a way that it will be very difficult to gather them. That is the point. So these are the examples that are given for a meditating mind. Then Lord Krishna understood, because he is all-knowing, and also he is very sympathetic to his student. So he said that Asamshan Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalan Abhyasanatu Kamtyo Vairagyanacha Rijate. So he admitted, well, yes, this is true. Doubtless, O mighty Arjuna, that means he is best among men, if you can call it. So he says that you are powerful, you are such an efficient person, you are facing this war and all those things. So naturally he was the most able person in front of him. So addressing him, he says, doubtless, the mind is restless and hard to control. But by practice and by detachment, O son of Kunti, it can be restrained. So this is the samambunam of the teaching how to control the mind. That means it is admitted. That means what we feel during the meditation It is a universal experience that we have. We are feeling that probably I am having this problem, other person who is doing meditation is not having that problem. It is not like that. Everybody have to face this type of what is called experience when one tries to do meditation. That means mind will be restless. It needs to be controlled. And we always see how it can be done. So Lord Krishna, being a best of the teacher, he has said that ways. I understand your problem, and definitely it can be controlled if you follow two principles, or you know these two things. That first is that by practice, that means continuous practice. If you sit one day and then do not sit for 3 days, then again another day, or a few hours today, 3 hours to another day, or a few minutes another day, all those haphazardly, if it is done, it will not be possible to control the mind. That is the first thing that he is saying. You have to practice this regularly. And second is that detachment. Detachment in a sense that in our mind different types of thoughts are coming. So why the thoughts are coming? Because we have some sort of interaction with the objects of the thoughts. So if we cannot detach our thoughts from the objects with which actual mind is connected, it will not be possible. And naturally you can understand the mechanism of meditation. We have an object of meditation, we are trying to attach our mind with that object. But instead of that, mind is getting straight into different objects with which actually you have interaction. So that is the detachment. That means we have to detach our mind from those objects which are actually dragging our mind from the objective to which actually we want to allow our mind to go. So in this way, we find that it is necessary that we need to control the mind. Also, the point is that we should have a desire, that means will, a sort of strong desire to control the mind. Then actually it can happen. If we just let our mind go, okay, today we did not have, probably tomorrow we shall try, third day we shall try. In that way, if it is a sort of what is called leisurely way, if we think the mind will be controlled, it will not happen. That means we have to be determined that we shall be able to control our mind. So then actually it will happen. And also, there are two things, other object is there. That means we have to, mind is even one of the, if the mind, for even one of the roving minds, if the mind yields to it, carries away discrimination as a gale carries away ship on the water. That means if the mind is let loose to go to the objects of senses, actually it will be difficult to control that mind. So this is the property of the mind, if you can, if you want to tell it in that way. Now the point is that how actually we can develop the strength of the mind. That means we have to know that controlling the mind is a hero's job. So something needs to be achieved. That means if you have that type of determination, then actually you can try to do that. That means we want to do something which others cannot do, or which will be an achievement. If in that way, if we can, if we impress our mind, then actually probably it will be a good adventure, if we call it. So Lord Buddha has said in one place, that means if one man conquers in battle 1,000 men, 1,000 times, and if another conquers himself, the latter is the greater conqueror. So this is a very significant statement by one of the greatest teachers of spirituality, Lord Buddha. So he said, usually a hero, you know, Arjuna was a great hero previously or after the war also you find that he was like that. So if a person, warriors are considered to be heroes, so naturally he fought war, killed so many enemies and also so many times, and he is considered to be, he will be what is called eulogized, or he will be held in high esteem to be a great conqueror. Napoleon and other places, that means in the history we see that there are many conquerors who actually conquered many, fought wars and conquered what is called many countries. In that way they are very famous. But Lord Buddha is saying that, well, if somebody can control his mind, he is superior conqueror to the conquerors who are in the, we see in the history book. That is the point. So naturally that is a very great appreciation of the, what is called, about the objective of conquering the mind. That means we should be a great conqueror, greater than these conquerors which we find in the history book, if we can control our mind. So that should be given an impetus. That is the point. So the point is this, then we need to know what is mind actually. So the object is that we know what is our body, what is our eyes, and what is our other limbs and all those things, and what to say about outside objects. If you want to know, we can know easily. But to understand mind, we have to reflect on your mind. Nowadays it is like this, that means your mind needs to be told that this is your mind and this is in that way it is working by somebody else, outsider. He might have some instrument or he might have some process. In that way he can figure out what is in your mind and what is happening. But the point of those who want to do meditation, they need to know about one's own mind. Of course it is common for everybody, but still one has to focus to know one's own mind. That means how actually mind works and what are its, if you call it just like chemistry, what are its properties and all those things. If we know, then actually it will be easy to figure out what needs to be done or to understand what we do that will be fruitful. That is the point. So through our scriptures we find that mind has been taken up in many places, and if you just remember a few things about the mind, then it will be easier to control the mind, or at least you understand why you are doing what has been said in the scriptures for the control of the mind. First is that mind is a finer body within the gross body. It is very strange. That means we have a body and mind is also considered to be just like a body. Body means, that means as if it has got limb or properties, or it has got what is called animated object. That means it is not a dull object or it is not an inert substance. So it has got its own what is called life, if we can say. So that has been said. You will find there is a dialogue between Uddalaka and what is called his disciple Setoketu. So in that way it is said. How actually we understand that? He said in that dialogue, just for in short it is like that. He said, when he said that to his, the teacher told his student that real mind is just like a body. It has got what is called all the characteristics of body, but it is subtle. That means it is very subtle. You do not. It needs to be understood, or it has to be discovered. So he said that how to discover that. So the teacher said that, well, you fast for 15 days. Only take water. So the logo came, went, and according to the teacher, he followed that and said that, well, sir, I have done that. So what is the next thing? Then the teacher said that you just recount these verses from the scriptures that you have learned. Then he tried and tried and tried and said that, well, sir, I cannot remember those things. So this is why it is this. That means mind has all the characteristics of the body. That means when the body is full of food, actually you can remember those things. But when the food is not really, you are not taking food, actually it has dried up. It is an object which has dried up. That means it has got no nourishment is there in the body, in the mind. So you cannot remember. So in that way, actually, he made him understood that mind is made of the finer materials that we actually eat. That means we consume as a food. So that is important thing. So we know now that this mind can be controlled by control of the food also. That has been, I had the occasion of saying that in one of my last talk. That means if you select food in such a way, that mind will remain calm and quiet. That is possible. Lord Krishna has given those examples in the Bhagavad Gita. That is simple way. That means it is not the ultimate way, but it is one way, or what is called a sort of method by which actually mind can be controlled by control of the food. Then mind is compared of subtle matter. That means transparent inner instrument and antahkarana. Just like we have the eyes, ears, these are called organs. Mind is also an organ. That means it is inside sitting, and in that way actually it is functioning just like an organ, but it is very subtle. That is the point. So it has got all the properties of a physical organ that we have, but it is not seen. That means it is not. It is inside. Antah karana. Karana means instrument. Antah means inside. Then mind is what is called distinct from organs and body. We think, feel, we think, feel, will, imagine, remember, rejoice, regret, without using our 10 organs. That means mind, how it works. So the feeling that is coming, actually you do not need any of our limbs to feel something. So the mind actually can do that. That is the activity of the mind, you can say. In that way, these are the activities, if you can say, which we experience. Thinking, feeling, willing, imagining, remembering, rejoicing, regretting, all those things actually we can do, but we don't take the help of the outside organs. So mind as an organ is doing that thing. Then it is said mind has a power to look back into itself. That is also possible. We remember things, that means in childhood it happened, or yesterday it happened, or a few hours ago this happened. So it has got the property of reflecting in the past. Mind has three constituents, which is called Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. That is very unique concept in the Indian philosophy or Indian spirituality. What is Tamas, Rajas and Sattva? If somebody has got some sort of conception of that, it will be easy to follow spirituality. We need to be Sattvic. That means we have to proceed towards which actually is conducive for the mind to remain in the Sattvika condition. That Lord Krishna has given very extensive instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. Then mind has three levels of plane. That means conscious, unconscious and superconscious. That in the last lecture our Yashodhanananda said. There are levels, that means I am conscious now, that means mind is acting through the senses. Then there will be unconscious state when I go to sleep. In that way actually we have this superconscious state when in the meditation and such other time we have that type of experience. Then mind has four faculties. Manas, Buddhi, Chitta and Ahankar. That means we can think. Mind we employ to think something which is, what is this? And then actually come to a conclusion, this is this. And I actually remember that. And also we attach our ego. That means when we work on that with that knowledge, then actually it becomes ego. So in that way, mind has got these four faculties, that, or you can say four transformations. That is the best word, because mind at one time can do one thing. That is also important to know. You cannot divide your mind into different parts and allow the mind to think this, and then actually you can, what is called, think other things. In that way it doesn't happen. If you think that is a multitasking, as it is called, it is a misconception. What we do multitasking is that we have instincts which work and mind actually working in some other places. So in that way two things are happening. So we think that our mind is working in 2 planes or 3 planes, it is happening. But it is not true. You cannot concentrate on several objects at a time. That is the greatest, what is called, advantage of the mind. If you concentrate your mind in one place, it will stick to that place, giving up all the other activities. If you can close that, that means you can stop that. In that way actually you can do meditation. Then of course there are, in general, we have our mind, so in what condition it is this? It is like this. First is that we have shifto, that is called scattered. Scattered means nobody. There are some persons who can never control their mind. That means it is always jumping and all those. In that way it is going this thought, that thought. That means they have not practiced or they don't have intention to practice. And that is called shifto. This type of mind actually requires some attention from the medical side, you can say. Because you do not know what that person will do, what that person will say, and in that way he is also miserable and others also becomes miserable by his company. Then there is the what we call darkening, if you call it, muro. That means when you go to sleep or very tired, actually you feel a sort of feel. That means mind as if it is not working. But it is possible after some time to mind come into the what is called conscious plane or active plane. Then there is called what is called vikshipta, which is gathering type. Gathering type means, that means we can control our mind to some extent. If I want, I can take a glass of water, I can take a glass of water and drink. Or if you want to think something, or if you go to something. So in that way actually, the mind actually is active, but it is not that control. So that means, that is the general condition of our mind in a waking state. Then there comes the what is called one-pointedness, which needs to be done by practice. We study books, and that actually brings the mind under control. We listen to a song, that also brings the mind under control. In that way, mind becomes controlled under certain circumstances. Swami Vivekananda has said it is possible to concentrate mind by just listening music. We had many saints who were just saint singers. That means they used to sing songs, and in that way they had the highest realization. Music is a very simple and good way of concentration of the mind. You will find nowadays it is possible to have meditation music or something like that, or in some places they meditate for the what is called for the help of meditation. They play music which are really helpful for the control of the mind. So point is that mind can be made one-pointed by some methods. Finally, there is the concentrated mind, which is called niruddha, which is the highest. That means when the mind is completely controlled, it is said that mind really lives itself and only consciousness remains. Because mind, as you know, is a matter. So consciousness is different thing. So consciousness actually what is called takes off from the mind, and we remain what we are. In that way actually it happens. That is the goal of meditation. So this is, in this way, if we can understand the mind's activities, then we can think over what is the situation with our mind and in what way actually could tackle it if you know these properties of the mind. So it is like this, that it has been said or it has been taught, and Lord Krishna as he has said, that by abhyas, that means repeated practice, and also detachment. Why detachment? Detachment is a little bit scary word, because it is not often possible to detach things. But if you know that it is possible to detach our mind from things, that is necessary and that is objective, then we can slowly do that. So, as we read in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, this Bhagavad Gita is a complete book of practice of meditation. That means there is no way actually you can find out anything outside the book that can be taught about meditation, spirituality. So it is a complete book. So in another place, he has said that, well, if you think something thought repeatedly, it will get attached. So the point is that if you do not think of that thought repeatedly, so it will become detached. So it is not that easy that you can do that. So because some of the thoughts we have thought so repeatedly that it does not go away. It is not possible that we can get rid of them. And sometimes it is necessary also. If you forget to drive, naturally it will be a disaster. So we have to keep those thoughts with you for your practical purposes also. But the point is that, as I told you, that mind has got the property of concentrating on one object at a time. If you know that at this point, actually I do not want to think of the thought, that may be useful at other time. So you think of something which will be useful, and in that way Lord Krishna has said, that as you see that in the thoughts he has said, that you think of me. That means if you allow your mind to go to an object, let that object be something spiritual. So to Arjuna it was Lord Krishna. So he said that you think of me, and in that way you get attached to me. That means allow your mind, because mind has got that property of attaching to objects. So in that way you allow your mind to get attached to me. And then at that time or for those moments actually, you will be detached from the other thoughts. And it is a matter of swing actually. That means sometimes the mind will go there, sometimes the mind will be on the object of the what is called what you have selected. So in that way it will be a swing. So ultimately by practice, when the swing will be more towards the what is called the object of meditation, then actually slowly that we will progress. That means spirituality will develop. So ultimately it is said when the mind is getting one-pointed to one object, spiritual object, ultimately it will become niruddha, as it is called, concentrated. And when it becomes concentrated, as I told you, that you will be able to discover your true self. That means you will be able to see the mind as it is by your consciousness. That means consciousness will be separated from will objectify the mind. So in that way it will happen. And that is the goal of the spiritual life. Now some tidbits may be helpful, because if you know the theory, So naturally to know the theory is good, it is important, but definitely what will be helpful for the detachment of the mind when we do meditation, some advices are given that we see. So just in day-to-day activities, because we are in the midst of our worldly life, so naturally we need some practical means, as it is called. That means we understand this mechanism that has been said by Lord Krishna's scriptures, but still we need some extra help, as it called. That means supplementary help that is necessary for the detachment of the mind during meditation. So it is said, strong likes and dislikes, attachment and aversion. So you have something very strong, that means you hate something very strongly. And if you are attached to very strongly, both are actually not conducive for the what is called control of the mind. Likes and dislikes also. If you think, oh, that food is so bad, durian is so bad that I should not really eat that, it is not possible. You don't have to think about that. So you have to know what are your strong likes and dislikes. So because attachment means strong, what is called a strong attachment to that object. Dislike is also in the same way a sort of attachment. So the strong strength of this like and dislikes has to be reduced. Then indulgence, that means if you eat too much, then if you drink too much, if you talk too much, if you work too much, if you sleep too much of everything, so is very bad. Lord Buddha has said that Muddham Pantha, that means take to the middle path. Everything in moderation is very good for meditator. That means sometimes we feel, oh, I have to reach this goal today, so I have to walk that far today, or you have some project in your hand, you have to finish it today. So that type of application of the mind actually is very disturbing during meditation. So it has been said, indulgence, too much of eating, too much of drinking, too much of talking, too much of working, too much of sleeping, these are actually too much of anything is bad or not conducive for meditation. Then involving in controversy. That is, in our social life actually there are many things that come to our mind, and which, as it is said, that if something is not really of your concern, don't bother yourself with those concerns. That is, others matter, let them be with them. So there is no use of engaging the mind in controversies. Then unnecessary torture of the body also. Recently I read one, just a few days ago I think. It was that one, what is called, explorer, people go for take a trek. And one woman from New Zealand or England, she came to this, on national park, that means which is very dry and all those things. So she went inside, and then actually she lost her way. Not only lost her way, that means it was very hot, and there actually she lost her direction and all those things, and her cell phone was also not working. So what to do? She somehow survived. That means, then not only that, she just climbed a rock, and then from there she fell down. And not only that, she actually broke her bone also, and she could not move also. In that way, she was completely lost, and she was counting her hours or days. And somehow or other, she was discovered and what is called saved. The point is that extreme of everything is really bad. So that is the point. That means unnecessary torture of the body. It was hot and in a desert condition she went, and there was nobody there, and that way she chose that trek, and these things happen. Then other things are over ambitions, which is beyond our capacity. If you think that, well, I shall do that just for the sake of achievement, or people will really, what is called, praise me. In that way, if you try to do things like Olympics and such other things that are there, people do that. That is good in the young age, but for a spiritual life, that may not be that good. Then jealous of others' prosperity, which is very common for human mind. If you see somebody, some country, oh, China is getting so big and powerful and all those things, that is a botheration of the politicians. That should not be a botheration for a person, simple person like us, because we have given the responsibility of these thoughts to those people. That is the point. Then self-righteousness also. Sometimes we feel I am correct, I am religious, I am spiritual, so I am the greatest. So in that way, self-righteousness is also bad. Then of course, negatively, feeling of guilt and all those things are also said to be bad for spiritual, what is called, for control of the mind. So these are the aspects from the point of view of scriptures and as well as from the point of view of the day-to-day life, which can help. The point is that we have to be ready to take any help that is useful for our situation. So in that way we have to figure out, find out, and in that way we have to go ahead in the what is control of the mind. So I would like to conclude with one song which Sri Ramakrishna used to sing. It was very popular with him, and here you will find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Okay, before that actually let me tell you something. You know, our Swamis give talks and our Swamis writes essays, and you'll find we have magazines also where you'll find Prabhupada Bharat, the Vedanta Geshwari like magazines. So one of our Swamis, his name was Swami Buddhananda. He came to this country first in New York, and then actually he did not stay there for a long time. Then he came to San Francisco, and he stayed there for 1 year when Swami Ashokananda was ill. That means he used to conduct classes or lectures and all those things. He did for 1 year. Then he went back to India and was head of the Mayavati, that means Advaita Ashram, then Delhi in that way. Later on actually he passed away. He was a great essayist. That means he was editor of Vedanta Keshari, one of the magazines, but he continued, he is well known for his essays on practical spiritual life. In that way he wrote many essays in Prabhupada Bharat. And he wrote a 2-part essay, which is, the title of that essay was Mind and Its Control. And this essay was very much appreciated. So naturally the publisher of the, what is called that magazine, thought that if it is published in a booklet form, it will be beneficial. Many people said that if you publish it in a booklet form, people can keep it, and in that way they can, those who are interested in the meditation, it will be very helpful for them. So it was published in a booklet form, and you know we do not have any expertise in guessing how many copies will be sold. So naturally few copies, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. Probably 3,000 is the minimum, that is the first print is done. So within 5 months actually that book got exhausted. Then of course I have a copy which is the 4th reprint. And in the 4th reprint I see it was printed 25,000. So it was within 3 years actually. That means first publication was I think in 71 or something, and later on actually it continued, and 4th reprint was in 82. So it was printed in 25,000 copies. And that shows the popularity of that book. So if we keep something like that for references near ourselves, actually it will be very helpful. That is my point. And another story connected to that is this, that book has been translated in many Indian languages, and I know that it was translated during my time. Of course, I was not responsible at that time. I just saw the things. So it was translated into Gujarati, which is the mother tongue in a Gujarati area, Mahatma Gandhi's area. That is the simple way of saying. So it was translated. Why it was translated? Because you know, a publication requires some money at the beginning. So one gentleman from Bombay, he was what is called barrister at law. That means he was a lawyer. So he was a Gujarati lawyer, but he never spoke Gujarati. He always spoke in English because he was educated in England. and not only his profession did not require that he needs to speak English. So he said that, sir, if you print this book or translate this book in Gujarati, I shall give the money for that. So that gave the impetus to translate that book, and it was really published in Gujarati in that way. So I remember his last name was some Mr. Shah. So the point is that this popularity becomes popularity or usefulness, that is the main point. Usefulness becomes an impetus for others who can do, think for others also. So many people do not know English, so naturally he thought that if it is published in the mother tongue of a large number of people, it will be useful. So in that way, it was first printed. So the point is, as I'm saying, that if we keep a reference book for such things, it may be helpful for those who are doing meditation. So let me conclude with a song which says Ramakrishna used to sing. Dub 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 rub sagare amar mon. I shall give, that is the song, those who have heard, they will be able to figure out. So he is saying, dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find a gem of love. Go seek, O mind, go seek Vrindavan in your heart, where with his loving devotees, Sri Krishna sports eternally. Light up, O mind, light up through wisdom's shining lamp, and let it burn and burn with steady flame, unceasingly within your heart. Who is it that steers your boat across that solid earth? It is your Guru, says Kabir, meditate on his holy feet. So this song is dedicated to what is called Lord Krishna, as we see by one very unknown, that means I could not find any other song by this, what is called by this composer. By composing this song, actually he became very famous, and Sri Ramakrishna actually loved this song. So that shows that he had sung many times. And Kathamrita, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, as you know, just a handful of days, not exactly a handful, but few days is record of his meeting with devotee. So the point is that there is a joy of controlling the mind, there is no doubt about that, and also it has got any practical implication in our today's life that I said when I said about the remark of that psychologist with whom I had that interaction. Thank you.